Second.
Mr. Hart, can you hear me?
Hey, son, I got you good.
All right, stand by.
All right.
All right, I call to order the May 2nd, 2023 meeting of the Coney County Council. Time is 6 p.m. First order of business is a moment of silence. Okay, have an invocation by County Council Chaplain, Mr. Root.
Pray with me if you'd like to. Dearest Father, we are grateful. I hope we are grateful. Please make us grateful for the lives you've given us, for each moment of the day, each moment that we live, how precious it is. Help us to focus on that, live moment by moment, live in that moment, and to be appreciative. Thank you for our daily bread, your faithfulness, even when we are unfaithful. So I pray you continue to be faithful during this meeting, that you give counsel wisdom and insight, that you create in us soft hearts, appreciative hearts, hearts that look out for our neighbors first, and that would start here this evening. And I pray in your name. Amen.
Okay, pledge of allegiance. Mr. Miles, would you lead?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of minutes for April 18th, 2023, regular meeting.
Make a motion. Second.
Motion second, any comments? All in favor? Aye.
Vote is 4-0.
All right, appointment of council committees for 2023. Okay, for the Budget, Finance, and Administration Committee, I'd like for Mr. John Elliott to continue serving as chairman, along with the remaining 4 members of council. For the Law Enforcement, Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee, I'd like for Mr. Don Mize to serve as chairman, along with Mr. Glenn Hart and myself. For the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I'd like for Mr. Mize to serve as chairman, along with Mr. Glenn Hart and myself. For Transportation Committee, I would like for Mr. Glenn Hart to serve as chairman, along with Mr. Mize and Mr. Elliott. For Real Estate, Facilities, and Land Management Committee, I'd like for Mr. Julian Davis to serve as chairman, along with Mr. Hart and Mr. Mize. And I believe that's all of them. Do I have a,
Mr. Chairman, if I could, with that motion, just to have a motion to install and approve this slate of candidates and remove the ones installed and approved by Mr. Elliott when he was acting in the holdover capacity.
okay, so motion as stated by Mr. Rick.
Thank you, sir. Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0.
All right. Next, appointment of further council representatives, okay, to the South Carolina Appalachian Council Government Board of Directors. I'd like to appoint Mr. Glenn Hart as the council representative, Mr. Mickey Haney as the citizen representative, and Mr. Roel Cruz as the minority representative. And saying, do I have a motion to remove previously appointed and replace with the names I just mentioned?
Make a motion.
Motion?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Vote is 4-0.
Alright, for Oconee Business Oconee Business Education Partnership, I would like to place Mr. Mize in that position. Do I have a motion to replace Mr. Davis, who's currently serving? with Mr. Mize.
So moved.
Make a motion.
All right, motion
Second.
second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That is 4A.
Okay. Next up is county attorney comments, Mr. Root.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I have several matters on the nature of housekeeping. First, so we can wait until the sheriff gets here, I need a motion to amend the agenda to move proclamation 2023-02 from where it's currently is, which is after the county administrator comments, to after the council member comments.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is 4O.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The second matter relates to ordinance 2023-12 and resolution 2023-08. These are from Economic Development Project Ironman. Those documents are not ready from the company's attorney yet, so just need a motion to postpone that ordinance and that resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is 4A.
Likewise, Mr. Chairman, we do not need executive session matter Project Red. I believe is the only matter we have for executive session, so I got a motion to remove that.
All right, I give the motion to remove Project Red.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That is 4O.
Thank you, sir. And the last item I'll bring up when we get to the ordinance, this is ordinance 2023-08. This is the property switch on Mount Nebo Church, with Mount Nebo Baptist Church, for the .14 acres and the .034 acres. I'll just be requesting a motion to waive the appraisal on that. That's small, switch it, or swap of these two small parcels of land, but I'll bring that up at that time.
Okay, you bring it up at the time.
Yes, sir, so that's all I have.
Okay, that's all you have. Ms. Brock, County Administrator comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do not have any. Mr. Root took care of all of our housekeeping matters this evening.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Brock. All right, next we have public comment session.
We have Mr. Dwight Baker.
Yeah, as stated, my name is Dwight Baker. Some of you know me, some of you don't. But I've developed several projects in this county, from Parkview East, Parkview South, Heritage Shores, about 10 developments over the years. And I wanted to, I really don't want to get into it too much, but during the 2008 market crash, I moved to Kentucky and bought 1,700 acres and went in the timber business. And in 2017, I come back home to Oconee County. And when I came back home, had open heart surgery, basically retired. But there was 463 acres in the southern part of the county that became on the market. And I'd been trying to buy it for 30 years. And finally, the heirs come boiled down to one, and I was able to do that. And I met with Adam Chapman, and he wanted to know what I wanted to do with it and how I was going to develop it. And after meeting with him and meeting with the road department, there was existing 5 miles of road, water, electric, that went through this property. If I went over 10 individual lots that was smaller than 5 acres, I was going to have to do a traffic impact study. And so what we kind of boiled down to was each section or each track, I had 10 lots on the different roads. And he required me to show what I was going to do with the remainder of that track. And so he required me to submit my preliminary plat that way. And so I did, with the 5 acres, 10 acres, or whatever the acreage was remaining in the property. And that went along really well. And from March of 2020 through February of 2022, I did that on 18-acre track, and in July of 20, a 49-acre track, an 18-acre track, a 162-acre track, 137-acre track, and a 69-acre track, and a 32-acre track. In that process, a couple of those were on secondary state roads. And so Vivian, in the last 2 or 3 that we did, Barbara requested that, because I had cut a track up with 30 acres with 50 feet going in like for a county road. And she said, well, we're going to require 60 feet. I said, that's fine. So the next one I did it at 66 feet. And I'm opposed to this ordinance of 2023-8 for secondary roads that are 35 mile an hour to get pre-approval for preliminary plats. I don't think it's, well, I just did 128 acres in Anderson County, and they never required it. I don't know of a county in the upstate that requires state approval for our subdivisions. Well, I've got a contract on 144 acres, and I took a preliminary plat to Steve Edwards, and he said, Dwight, he said, things have changed. I said, well, it's the same as the last 7 that we did. And he said, you might need to go to the Planning Commission. I went up there and a month ago, a little over a month ago. And James told me, we want to be good neighbors, we're going to submit this to the state for pre-approval. Well, I thought, I'll go along with that. And so I called him a couple times and never got a return phone call on the status of it. And about 10 days ago, I finally went to his office at 8:30 in the morning and asked him what the status of it was, and he said he hadn't even started it yet, hadn't even entered it in. All the other ones had been entered in within 2 to 3 days, and approval of the same exact plat up until this point, or same exact preliminary plat that they required. So he hadn't even started it yet. He said, I got 60 days to do it. I'm only asking for 9 100-foot lots, and the rest of them are acreage tracts. They are on the secondary state road. But I've complied with what I know Barbara would, it would be approved. The problem with this ordinance, I think, is I did create some work for Barbara, who's over the DOT, and she's close to retirement, and now she's starting to kick us stuff to Greenville. It really doesn't make sense to, our ordinances have worked since the 2006. I don't think there's any need to change that at this point. My only, and one of my other concerns is that there's nobody in the planning department that has any past experience. The planning department has basically been hollowed out there. And truthfully, I think James is a poor manager. I'm not here to get him fired or anything like that, but we got a problem in the planning commission. He told me there's only 2 of them in there that could, and they were overloaded. Well, there's always been just 2 or 3 in there. Matter of fact, Vivian carried it, when Adam Chapman left, Vivian carried it by herself, and still we were able to get the work done in the planning and zoning. So I would like, I expect that I'll get approval on this preliminary plat at some point. But I'm concerned about other citizens that come in and don't know, they understand the rules. I know as much about these county zoning ordinances as anybody in this room probably. But anyway, he wants me to jump through that hoop and wait on him, and I will. And I thank you for your time.
Miss Janet Barwick.
Good evening. My name is Janet Barwick, and this is Bob Hoover. We're both with the Oconee Humane Society. I'm here to share information to help you with budgeting decisions for animal welfare within our county. For 50 years now, Oconee Humane Society has worked for you and the residents of the county. We're staffed by mostly volunteers and supported by donations and grants. We manage the Shelter Adoption Center and work to decrease the number of homeless pets in our county through spay, neuter, and humane education. We pioneered a low-cost spay-neuter voucher program open to all residents called the Spay Neuter Assistance Program, or SNAP, and we applaud councils
for helping fund the county program, which is called the Spay Neuter Assistance Coalition, or SNAC, to help the most vulnerable people within our county afford spay neuter services. The win-win is that our residents can enjoy the tremendous companionship a pet brings without adding to overpopulation. We have issued 16,000 SNAC, low household income vouchers, since the program began in 2011. Oconee residents need funds for the low-cost spay-neuter program to increase, not decrease, and we respectfully ask that you can reconsider the proposed decrease to the county's spay-neuter program. It is important to know up to 508 puppies can be born to one unspayed female dog and her offspring in only 7 years. Even more alarming, up to 4,948 kittens can be born in the same time frame. The capture, impoundment, and even destruction of unwanted animals comes at a high cost to taxpayers. As additional information, between 2018 and 2020 alone, an average of 2,000 cats entered the county shelter each year, and half were euthanized each year. In 2001, after a scathing evaluation was publicized, Animal Control began a managed intake program and stopped trapping and intake for feral or community cats. The cats, however, did not stop producing, so naturally these populations are increasing. Oconee Humane Society's Kitten Foster Program saw an increase from just under 500 in 2021 to over 1,000 in 2022. OHS covers costs associated with foster care for the kittens, and in the current year, we have covered 60% of the cost for their spay-neuter surgeries. While surgeries on an annualized basis have increased for cats by 83%, the county spending to cover is decreased the county spending has decreased to cover only 40% compared to approximately 65% historically. Additionally, Oconee Humane Society began a grassroots effort to trap, spay, neuter, and return cats. This is widely recognized as the most humane and effective method known for managing feral and stray cats and reducing their numbers. The new Oconee Humane Society Pet Medical Clinic provides surgeries and rabies vaccines for the community cats brought in by our volunteer trappers or Oconee residents for little to no cost. Addressing this overpopulation problem head-on is the only answer to reduce these populations. We cannot digress to the failed philosophy of simply taking and euthanizing. We must control the exploding population through spay-neuter. We do appreciate that the county has recognized the need for the community cat program and that the new fiscal year budget includes funding to support this effort.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Hoover, did you want to add anything to that?
That's all. Thank y'all. Okay, council, member comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Ms. Everett.
Mr. Baker, I know Mr. Cooley is understaffed right now.
Yes.
And we're working on that. And so hopefully he'll get to yours shortly. But he does have certain steps that he has to go through, and I know you know that. And it may be,
Well, I'm used to walking in and they enter it in about 3 days getting a letter. I've never been treated this way. And I know he's understaffed. My concern is you're going to staff it with some more outside people. I recommend you reconsider getting somebody that has experience in this office like Vivian and apologize to her and hire her back. That's my opinion. I think she was railroaded out.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, I'll just, Mr. Baker, if you would, just leave your contact number with Ms. Brock. And, we'll look into what you stated today. And then, Ms. Barwick and, Mr. Hoover, I'm gonna ask Ms. Brock a question. I'm
Okay.
gonna put her on the spot, I guess.
8017.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry, thank
I
you.
don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know a year ago, and I lost track of it through everything, we were working on an ordinance for cats and spade and neutering. I don't know what came of it.
Actually, I'm gonna put Mr. Root on the spot. This will be a ordinance volley conversation.
It passed,
If you
just
could.
right at the end of the
Animal
year, it
control
passed.
ordinance did pass.
And it is not, glad you brought that up, it is not Municode if you look online, Municode is a third-party vendor who puts all of our codified ordinances on the website. They have not updated since that one has been adopted, that animal control ordinance revision. So I can get you a copy of it.
Oh.
And then another copy that I have, and then I think, what was it, Jennifer, 2 weeks they're gonna put? Yeah, in about 2 weeks they'll have the new ordinance online, but yes, it was adopted, and it took into account, the community cats and different measures to get us consistent with state law.
Or
It basically, I have seen it, it was sent to me, and it put us in accordance with state law, as you said, and some other things. It did not specifically address spay neuter. That's something we're working on outside of the ordinances.
And I'll reach out to y'all after the meeting and get more information.
Okay, great.
Right. All right. Well, with that being all, we have a proclamation.
Mr.
Oh,
Chairman,
I'm sorry, Mr. Hart.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask Mr. Baker a couple of questions. One, has he had this problem in any other county in South Carolina? And two, does he have that problem in Georgia?
Well, I've developed property in Anderson County and Oconee County and Hart County. I have never since 1980, have never had a problem that I've had here with this planning commission. The sad thing is, I've never had this problem in Oconee County with any planning commission. This is actually the most dysfunctional thing that I have, okay? This is actually the most dysfunctional thing. I just think that he's a poor manager and he doesn't have any input from how to be consistent with what we've been doing in the past. And I'm just concerned. His assistant's desk, you walk in the office, it's clear. There's nothing on it. You can tell that she's not doing or able or trained to do it. You walk in his office, it's pile high. So no, I've never had this kind of problem with any bureaucracy, even with the Corps of Engineers. I've never had this problem.
Mr. Hart, anything else?
Yes, I want to ask about the rock quarry. They've had a very innovative system there. When they shut down, they text all the truck drivers that they're shut down for such and such day or such and such week. I think that they ought to put all council members on that list of people to be contacted when the rock quarry is shut down, so we can mark it on our calendars. And two, I would like to know, it's a rumor from North Carolina to Liberty that the Oconee County rock crusher was fined by the people that regulate the mines and quarries for the federal government. I don't know where that's true or not, but I'd like to know.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add.
Ms. Brown,
to address
please.
that. And with council permission, we're happy to add council cell phone numbers. It is a text message. It doesn't go to an email or anything else. Typically, they're not planned though. So I'm looking on the screen here from the last update from the quarry. This was Friday at 10:30 a.m. And I quote, "We had a return belt rip on the plant. We will not be able to run the rest of the day today." This was Friday, last Friday at 10:30 a.m. Please call the office number at 638-4214 for availability. Yesterday at 1:23 p.m., a separate text came through. The plant is up and running. We will not have riprap until later this week. Please call the office 638-4214 with questions. With permission, happy to add council members or anyone else. All quarry customers typically asked to be added to it when we implemented this, and it's just an oversight that council members were not included on it, but this is a simple and easy fix to that. And as to the MSHA, that is the mining, is the version of OSHA. As far as I know, there is no charge of any kind, and I'm seeing two heads shaking behind me, one the quarry director and one the assistant quarry director. So, Mr. Hart, that is in fact a rumor and untrue.
Anything else, Mr. Hart?
No, that was just, I wanted to voice those opinions right off the wall, and thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more thing.
Yes, sir.
So on ordinance 2023-09, pre-approval by South Carolina DOT to access state roads. Currently, parcels with road frontage on Highway 23 are to submit and receive approval from South Carolina DOT prior to county approval. This change makes the requirement consistent with all state roads, as well as reduces the burden of getting final approval to getting conditional approval. The South Carolina DOT came to the county to request something be done about subdividing property in ways that cannot meet the state's safety design criteria. The state is in favor of this. As certain developments within the county were deemed dangerous in order for people to have bought these lots to be given encroachment permits. They're required to sign liability waivers due to the hazard. The safety of traveling public should be paramount. Safety should be paramount, and allowing the state to review these divisions of property will improve safety for all our roads. The more curb cuts we have, the more chances for wrecks. T-bones. If you've ever been in a T-bone accident, you know that there's bad outcomes. I don't want blood on our hands. We need to pass ordinance 2023-09. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Any other comments?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Hart?
I'd like to ask Mr. Root, is anybody, any other county in the state of South Carolina been posed with this ordinance besides Oconee County?
Mr. Chairman, in reference to the DOT approval, yeah, so the what we're referring to, and we may be not on the same page, but the DOT, the state, is going to require a permit for any road that's going, any access to their state road. So it's an encroachment permit. And maybe that's where the nomenclature's getting mixed up, but they're going to require that. This ordinance, similar to what was done kind of, I guess, as a test pilot with 123, from Seneca to the Pickens line, was to get the order right. So we didn't do a preliminary approval, then they go to DOT, and DOT wants to move things around because it doesn't fit site distances or whatever, and then we end up with back and forth, and it doesn't work. So the DOT was the one, as I understand it, back when, for the 123, requested it, and then they came again and spoke to the planning commission, said, we do it on all state roads. This helps us out in our administration and working with folks who want to subdivide, so we can tell them on the front end, this is what you're going to need to do to get your encroachment permit. These are the conditions. So,
And the planning commission approved it 7-0.
so it applies throughout the state. I know Greenville has it codified similarly to what we're doing.
My understanding was that it kind of, maybe not necessarily alleviated a step, but made sure, like you said, the steps was in order. So the county didn't approve it, the state disapproved it, you come back around. But this is first reading. I'll read it again, and I'll speak to, any citizen who has concern about it to maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but that was my impression of it. I'm studying it right now. Any other comments? Mr. Hart?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay. All right, hearing none, we're gonna move forward to proclamation. We have proclamation 2023-02. A proclamation for Peace Officers Memorial Day. Whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day. Whereas the members of the law enforcement agencies of Oconee County play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of our community. Whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of the law enforcement officers, and the law enforcement officers recognize their duty to serve the people of this community by protecting them against violence and disorder. And whereas the law enforcement officers of Oconee County unceasingly provide a vital public service, now therefore, we the Oconee County Council, in recognition of Peace Officers Memorial Day, would like to honor the memory of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in the service to their community and have become disabled in the performance of duty, to offer appreciation to retired officers for their service to law enforcement profession, and to honor those law enforcement officers presently serving their community. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Lane, you're okay. We'll wait on you.
You gonna meet?
We'll wait on you. Y'all gonna have to show some love. Come on, more love.
Short people in that, you won't come down when you get through shaking hands. John Furman, come on down. Let's make 2 rows. I think we'll have to double up.
Thank you, sir.
Get it?
Almost, Mr. Elliott. Okay. I got you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we have no third reading of any ordinances. For second reading of the following ordinances, ordinance 2023-05, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an amendment to the fee in lieu of tax agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and a company known to the county and referred to for the time being as Project EV PAC affiliate, dated as of September 19th, 2017, and other related matters. I have a motion.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Thanks, 4-0.
Ordinance 2023-07. An ordinance authorizing pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 44 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, 1976, as amended, the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and special source revenue credit agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and Project Made, acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates, and other project companies, collectively company, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes incentive, providing for a special source revenue credit, developing a joint county industrial and business park between Oconee County and Pickens County, so as to designate the property of the project as part of the park. Authorizing the execution and delivery of one or more grant agreements, authorizing the conveyance of certain real estate for Project Made, and other related matters. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, second.
Second.
All right, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Thanks, 4-0.
Okay, have ordinance 2023-08, an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of certain real property owned by Oconee County to Mount Nebo Baptist Church property consisting of approximately .14 acres and being a portion of tax map number 256-00-01-006 and authorizing the receipt of certain real property owned by Mount Nebo Baptist Church, property consisting of approximately .0034 acres and being a portion of tax map number 256-00-04-019 and other matters related thereto. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second. All right, Mr. Root.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just have an amendment to that motion to waive the appraisal that would otherwise be required under the procurement code.
I'll make that amendment motion.
All right, have a motion.
Second.
Second. All right, is any discussion? We need to vote on the amendment and then vote on
Yes, sir.
Any discussion on the amendment? All right, hearing none, all in favor of the amendment? Aye.
That is 4A.
Okay, any discussion on the, ordinance 2023-08? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
That is 4A.
Okay, we have first reading of the following ordinances. Ordinance 2023-01, an ordinance to establish the budget for Oconee County and to provide for the levy of taxes for ordinary county purposes for the Tri-County Technical College Special Revenue Fund, for the Emergency Services Protection Special Revenue Fund, for the Road Maintenance Special Revenue Fund, for the Bridge and Culvert Capital Project Fund, for the Economic Development Capital Project Fund, for the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Capital Projects Fund, for the Debt Special Service Fund, for the Victim Services Special Revenue Funds, for the Capital Vehicle Equipment Fund, all in Oconee County for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All right, any discussion? Okay, I'm gonna repeat a discussion I had in the previous, finance meeting, and Mr. Hart, I know you wasn't there for it, but, so in the budget, we have allocated, a set of money for wage and salary increases. We know that, we're in a competitive labor market. We don't just compete for employees, against other government, we compete against private industry. And we need to make sure that we pay people appropriately. You know, you certainly don't want to overpay people, but you don't want to underpay either, because that creates, ever changing of jobs. So that costs money as well. So we want to pay people fairly, and what I'm going to propose and make a motion in a minute here to do is to take that money that's in the first reading of the budget for salaries, to give the county employees a 3% cost of living raise, save the remaining amount so we can either internally or external salary study to bring employees that's needed more money up. A blanket 6%, doesn't work, because we want to pay people appropriately. And I think the citizens deserve that, to have adequate services from their employees. My obvious focus would be first responders and law enforcement, but everybody's important. I made a mention earlier that if the motor pool doesn't have employees, the law enforcement and the fire trucks can't roll. But we have to do it right. So I'm going to propose that we set that aside for now and study it, get it right, to come out sometime in the fall. I'm not going to set a date on that. I'm going to go ahead and make my motion, then I'll open it up for discussion, if anybody has any other discussion right now.
So, what we discussed was like at 3%. Did I miss that? 3%?
Yeah, 3%,
At the first pay period.
first pay period.
Right, okay.
Yep. All right, so let me, all right, so I'm gonna make a motion to direct the county administrator to allocate a 3% cost of living increase for all county staff, including elected officials except for county council, and to move the remaining funding previously budgeted for salary increases in the amount of $1,040,416 for compensation consideration in the county council's departmental budget. These funds may be allocated through the implementation of salary bands, pay increases, compensation studies, stipends, or employee compensation measures as approved by council. Do I have a motion?
Have a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on that? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That That is 4A.
All right, so that's the motion on the amendment. Any other discussion on the budget ordinance as a whole?
This time.
All right, all in favor?
Uh,
That is 4A.
Okay. All right, next is ordinance 2023-03. An ordinance to provide for the levy of taxes for the Kiwi Fire Special Tax District and to establish the budget for the Kiwi Fire Special Tax District for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending July 30th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 4A.
All right, ordinance 2023-09, an ordinance amending section 32-222 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances so that applicants for subdivisions that are designated to access state roads shall submit to and receive preliminary conditional approval from the South Carolina Department of Transportation prior to receiving final approval from the Oconee County Planning Department and other matters related thereto. Like to have a motion?
So moved.
Motion? Second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I couldn't hear Mr. Root. Is any other county facing an ordinance like this for the highway department?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hart, can you hear me?
Yeah, I do now.
Okay, so it's applicable statewide that if you have an encroachment on a state road, you're gonna have to get DOT's blessing. So this ordinance just codifies the order to make sure they get squared up, the applicant, the subdivider gets squared up with the DOT before they get too far down the road with the county. And I don't know all the counties that have this, because you don't need to codify it because it's a matter of state law, but I know that Greenville does have it written in. I don't even think they have it written in as an ordinance. They have it written in as a policy from their planning department, like this is the way that it has to flow. But I don't know about other counties. I do know that the planning commission had Joel Smith, who's the regional representative for the DOT, come and talk to them. And he talked about how favorable it would be and helpful to the DOT. And I want to say he referenced other counties, and if needed, I could probably get him to come to the second meeting and talk about it if that would be helpful too. The promise is obviously he's got a different schedule, but he was very willing to come talk about it previously.
Did you hear everything, Mr. Hart?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ms. Hart, did you vote?
Yes, I did. I don't think you heard me,
Okay.
but I voted aye.
You voted no. Did you say?
No,
aye?
no. I voted
Yes.
with everybody else. I voted aye.
Okay, you voted yes. Thank you,
And
sir.
that is 4A.
All right. Next is ordinance 2023-10, an ordinance amending Article IV of Chapter 2 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances by dissolving the Arts and Historical Commission and other matters related thereto. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Brock, could you discuss just a little bit how this came?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I can. The Arts and Historical Commission and the PRT Commission both work directly with the department liaison, Mr. Phil Shirley with PRT. Arts and Historical is charged with allocating funds for historical markers and such around the county. There have, in recent months, maybe even longer than that, Mr. Shirley, feel free to correct me, it's been a considerable length of time, scheduling conflicts, meeting a quorum, and the commission determined it may be in the best interest for the PRT director, along with the Oconee History Museum director, to allocate the funds for such markers.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you,
That
sir.
is 4A.
Okay, ordinance 2023-11, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an addendum to the lease agreement between Oconee County and Lesser and the Foothills Farmstead as leasee in order to add additional property to the leased premises and other matters related thereto. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to recommend that on the backup material, instead of giving the complete plat, or maybe give the complete plat, but to do a zoom into this property and the adjoining property where you can read it. Thank you.
Ms. Brock, can we do that for
Absolutely.
second reading? All right, thank you, Mr. Hart. Anything else? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That is for A.
All right. Next, we have a discussion of action items. Funding allocation to Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority for engineering for Sewer South Phase 2 project. It's coming from Economic Development Administration contingency funding, amount of $424,500. Contingency $575,500. Project total is $1 million. Funding will be provided through the Economic Development Capital Projects 315 Fund. And it is staff's recommendation that council approve funding in the amount of $424,500 for engineering and professional services, plus an additional contingency amount of $575,500. The contingency will be utilized for any unforeseen costs that may arise. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That is for A.
Okay. The item for 2 mini pumper fire apparatuses for loose equipment from the Department of Emergency Services, amount $775,088.83. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2022-2023 budget process. Budget was $775,088.83. Project cost $775,088.83, leaving a remaining balance of $0. It is the staff's recommendation that council approve the award of 2 mini pumper fire trucks and loose equipment to Williams Fire Apparatus of Ashland, Alabama, in the amount of $775,088.83 per H-GAC contract number FS12-19. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
That is for A.
All right, have a change order number 6 to PO 54597, J. Davis Construction, Bounty Land Fire Station. It's from the Department of Emergency Services. Change order number amount is $5,301.65. And requesting contingency of $94,698.35 for a total request of $100,000. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2022-2023 budget process. Budget was $100,000. Project cost $100,000. Balance $0. It is staff recommendation that council approve change order number 6 to J. Davis Incorporated in the amount of $5,301.65 for a total construction cost to date of $1,268,726.61. Approve the additional contingency amount of $698.35, and authorize the county administrator to execute documents for this project and sign any change orders within the contingency amount. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Mr. Hart?
why do we even let bids if we're gonna have somebody bid and then charge us, 1/5 of what the bid was to start with in contingency fund? They used out the contingency fund, it looks like to me, where the bay that they wanted to remove the rock out of it and put just a regular concrete block, that should have been a minus instead of a plus as far as the building expense. And if we're going to do this, we need just to get Banner White and spin the wheel and put the contractor's name on it. And when we spend it, just say, you can have this project, and here's a blank check, build it, and fill out what you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. All right, so I agree with a lot of what Mr. Hart just said. I mean, if I look back at the change orders, a lot of this, I feel like either was planned up front or it should have been in the bid phase. It should have been captured. And I don't like that, that the change orders just come up. I feel like it should have been planned ahead of time or captured in the bid. With that, I would like to make a motion to approve the purchase order, the change order for $5,301.65, and amend the current contingency that stands with the project from the $94,698.35 to $35,000. And if we
I'll
have,
say,
you give me the motion, second?
I'll give you a motion.
Motion second, and then what this would do, if it continues to go like this, if they go over that number, it'll come back to council, and then we can keep track of it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
aye.
That is 4-0.
Mr. Chairman, that was just a vote on the amendment,
That's right.
So we have the full main motion.
So to vote now on the main motion, we had a motion and a second. Any further discussion needed? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we have a 2023 John.
Did we get Glenn's vote on that?
Glenn, did you vote on the main motion? Mr. Hart?
Was the main motion the 35,000?
Whether we voted or to approve that for the amendment, and then we had to vote again to approve,
Just to approve the 35,000?
to approve the motion after we amended to the 35,000. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, I'm aye vote.
Okay, yes, sir.
That is 4-0.
Thank you. Okay, title, let's see here, 2023 John Deere 333G compact track loader from the Department of Roads and Bridges, amount of $86,867.79. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2022-2023 budget process. The budget was $86,867.79. Project cost $86,867.79 with a balance of $0. Funding is from the Capital Equipment Replacement 325 Fund. It is the staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of a 2023 John Deere 333G compact track loader from Ag Pro of Seneca, South Carolina, in the amount of $86,867.79. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That is 4-0.
All right, have a mulching head and stomp shear / splitter from the Department of Solid Waste. The amount is $101,416.30. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2022-2023 budget process. Budget $101,416.30. Project cost $101,416.30 with a balance of $0. It is staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of a mulching head and stomp shear / splitter from National Equipment Dealers of Welford, South Carolina, in the amount of $101,416.30. And then to authorize the county administrator to transfer funds to the appropriate line items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any discussion? All right,
Well, I do have one question.
okay.
Will this be coming from the same funding from capital equipment?
No, sir. Thank you. That's an excellent question. What we're doing is looking for every item of savings in current year budget. If you'll recall, these were the two matters that I said we were fortunate enough to find savings in current year budget so that we could cut those capital requests out from last year. We will deplete the remaining 325 fund and use portion of the capital vehicle funds that's left. But these were two capital items that were on next year's request, that if we can realize savings from this year to do that, we'll move forward with that. That way eliminating those two from the budget for next year.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I have a UPS battery backup from Communications Department. Amount $97,391.77 with a 10% contingency of $9,739.18 for a total of $107,130.95. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2022-2023 budget process. Budget $107,130.95. Project cost $107,130.95 with a balance of $0. It is the staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of a UPS unit from Eaton Corporation of Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $81,491.77. Approve the installment in electrical to Hill Electric Incorporated of Anderson, South Carolina, in the amount of $15,900. And approve a 10% contingency in the amount of $9,739.18. And authorize the county administrator to execute documents for this project and sign any change orders within the contingency amount. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, have a change order number 1 for PO 55106, Ozone Collision Center LLC from the Department of Vehicle Maintenance. Amount original purchase order $41,330.50. Change order 1, $55,791.12 for a total of $97,121.62. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2022-2023 budget process. Budget $97,121.62. Project cost $97,121.62 with a $0 balance. And I have here insurance claim. It is the staff's recommendation that council approve change order number 1, PO 55106, to Ozone Collision Center LLC of Greenville, South Carolina, in the amount $55,791.12 for a total purchase order amount of $97,121.62. Authorize the county administrator to execute documents for this change order. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if I make
Yes, ma'am, Ms.
just one
Rock.
notation, just for the record. This was an insurance claim, so the county portion actual payment that coming out of the fund for county payment is $2,642.58. The insurance is covering the remainder of that.
Thank you for that clarification,
Yes,
Ms. Brock. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have a change order number 1 for PO number 55247 to Skanska
Yes.
USA Building Incorporated from the Department of Oconee PRT High Falls. The amount, the original purchase order was $11,821.04. Change order number one, $98,160.00 for a total of $109,981.04. Procurement was approved by council fiscal year 2022-23 budget process. Budget $109,981.04. Project cost $109,981.04 with a $0 balance. The funding for this is from the local ATAX fund. It is the staff's recommendation that council approve change order number one to PO 55247 in the amount of $98,160 for a total purchase order of $109,981.04, and to authorize the county administrator to execute documents for this change order. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That is 4A.
Okay. Local ATAX host compliance. Granicus, is that pronounced
Good
correct?
enough.
Okay. Short-term rental monitoring 3-year service agreement renewal, not to exceed $82,494 over 3 years with funds coming from the local accommodations tax. Local ATAX balance as of April 4th, 2023 is $603,809.49. Staff recommends approval to continue the service agreement for a term of 3 years. Total cost to pay over the 3-year period will not exceed $82,494 with funds coming from the local accommodations tax fund. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
That is 4A.
Alright. Council consideration and approval of adding a full-time equipment operator at the Oconee County Rock Quarry. The equipment operator position, including full benefits, will cost Oconee County between $52,988 and $59,436 based on experience and training at the time of hire. Staff recommends council approve the addition of the equipment operator position for the Oconee County Rock Quarry. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
That is 4A.
Okay. Council committee reports. We have the Budget, Finance, and Administration Committee that met on April 18th, 2023. Mr. Elliott.
Committee met at 4:30 PM on April 18th, 2023. Mr. Grant Davis with Malden and Jenkins LLC, an independent auditing firm, gave a brief presentation of the annual comprehensive financial report to the committee, noting there are no instances of noncompliance or internal control deficiencies found throughout the conduct of the audit. The committee continued discussions related to the fiscal year 23-24 budget. On a motion to 3-2, staff directed to revise the budget not to exceed $65,231,000. The next meeting was held today at 4:30 PM. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. We have no board and commission appointments at this time, and we have no executive session items at this time. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion, second. All in favor? Aye. Mr. Hart, you vote to adjourn?
Aye.
Mr. Hart, you still with us?
Aye.
Aye. I don't know what they're doing to you in there.